Buckle up, folks. We're diving into the wild tale of Apache Kid, one of Arizona's most elusive figures from the late 1800s. This guy's life is a puzzle, pieced together through the people he crossed paths with during the turbulent Apache Wars. Born around the 1860s, Apache Kid, whose real name was Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, started as a scout for the U.S. Army, but ended up a legendary outlaw, dodging capture and leaving a trail of mystery across the Arizona territory. The key to understanding Apache Kid lies with Sieber, a grizzled scout who shaped his early years. Sieber, a German-born frontiersman, was the U.S. Army's go-to man during the Apache Wars, a brutal conflict from 1861 to 1886 that pitted the military against Apache tribes in places like the San Carlos Reservation. He trained Apache scouts, including the Kid, to track down their own people, a job that put Apache Kid in a tough spot, straddling two worlds. Sieber's influence was massive, guiding the Kid from a young recruit to a skilled scout before things took a dark turn. Their story, rooted in the rugged landscapes of eastern Arizona, sets the stage for a saga of loyalty, betrayal, and disappearance that still baffles historians today. Around 1860, Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, came into the world in Arizona's wild frontier. Some say his Apache family lived in Aravaipa Canyon, a rugged valley 25 miles southwest of the San Carlos Reservation. Others claim they moved to Globe, a gritty mining town 20 miles away, caught up in the U.S. Army's push to confine Apaches during the Apache Wars of 1861 to 1886. With no clear record, his birthplace remains a puzzle, fitting for a man whose life became legend. As a young boy, around the late 1860s, Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl was ripped from his family by rival raiders, possibly Pima tribesmen or Mexican bandits, a brutal reality for many Apache kids in those chaotic times. He stayed captive until the early 1870s, when U.S. Army troops patrolling near the newly formed San Carlos Reservation of 1872 rescued him. That's when he met Sieber, a seasoned scout who'd been navigating Arizona's battlegrounds since 1868. Sieber took the young Apache under his wing, dubbing him Apache Kid for his sharp skills and to ditch the tricky birth name. This meeting at San Carlos, a sprawling reserve for displaced Apaches, set Apache Kid on a path from survivor to soldier in a territory teetering on the edge of war. In 1871, Sieber, a battle-hardened Civil War veteran, hit Arizona's frontier as a civilian scout for the U.S. Army, working under General George Stoneman, who led the fight against Apache resistance in the brutal Apache Wars of 1861 to 1886. Fresh from Union victories at Gettysburg, Sieber had traded Minnesota's fields for Arizona's deserts by 1868, first as a prospector before signing on to track Apaches. His job? Outsmart the tribes defending their lands in a bloody back and forth over territory and survival. By November 1872, Sieber was scouting out of Camp Hualpai, a bare-bones tent outpost in northwest Arizona, set up to curb Hualapai and Yavapai raids. A year later, in 1873, he moved to Fort Verde, a strategic post in the Verde Valley, where he took charge of a tough crew of Apache scouts. These scouts, hired under General George Crook's plan to use Apaches against Apaches, were key to hunting down bands resisting relocation to the San Carlos Reservation. Among them was a young Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, just 13 years old in 1873. Too young for official duty, the Kid stuck close to Sieber, soaking up the tricks of tracking and survival in a war-torn territory. With Fort Verde as their base, Sieber and his scouts tackled relentless Apache raids, setting the stage for Apache Kid's rise as a skilled but conflicted figure in Arizona's wild history. In the mid-1870s, a teenage Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl around 1860, was sent to a boarding school at the San Carlos Reservation, likely pushed by his mentor, Sieber. The school, set up in 1873 to assimilate Apache kids, taught English and basic skills under strict rules. Apache Kid stood out, picking up English and Spanish alongside his native Apache, a knack that would later make him a top scout. By 1873, at age 13, he was back with Sieber, tagging along during the Tonto Basin campaign, a brutal 1872-1873 push by General George Crook to crush Apache resistance in central Arizona. Too young for official duty, Apache Kid watched and learned, mastering, tracking, and survival from Sieber at Fort Verde. Fast forward to 1881, and the 21-year-old enlisted as an Indian scout with the U.S. Army, joining Crook's program, started in the 1870s to use Apaches to track down raiders hitting settlements and reservations. In 1882, Sieber, now chief of scouts, needed a new first sergeant after one was killed, and his top pick quit after a 3-month stint, a common choice for scouts. He tapped Apache Kid, who'd proven his grit. As first sergeant, Apache Kid led Apache scouts under Sieber, chasing Geronimo's Chiricahua band through Arizona's deserts and Mexico's Sierra Madre from 1882 to 1886. His rise, noted by Arizona historian Dan R. Williams, marked him as a key player in the Apache Wars, balancing loyalty to the Army with his Apache roots. In September 1886, the Apache Wars hit a turning point when Geronimo, a fierce Chiricahua Apache leader, surrendered at Skeleton Canyon, Arizona, after years of dodging U.S. troops in Arizona's deserts and Mexico's Sierra Madre. Geronimo and his small band of 38 followers, worn down by relentless pursuit, gave up to General Nelson A. Miles on the 4th of September. Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, played a key role as a first sergeant under Al Sieber, leading Apache scouts who tracked Geronimo's band through brutal terrain. Sieber's scouts, vital to the campaign since 1882, helped corner the Apaches, sealing the end of major resistance. The U.S. Army exiled Geronimo's group to Florida, shipping them to Fort Marion in St. Augustine, then Fort Pickens in Pensacola, where they faced harsh conditions as prisoners of war. Captain Henry Ware Lawton, commanding troops under Miles, was on the ground at Skeleton Canyon, his efforts helping secure the surrender. For Apache Kid, the victory was bittersweet, cementing his reputation as a skilled scout while highlighting his complex position as an Apache serving the Army against his own people. After Geronimo's surrender in 1886, Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, was thriving as a first sergeant under Al Sieber at the San Carlos Reservation, a trusted U.S. Army scout. But in May 1887, his life unraveled. An Apache headman, possibly toga to choose, hosted a wild Tiswin drinking party at San Carlos, a common escape for Apaches confined under tight U.S. control. The next morning, the headman was found dead, stabbed in the chest, sparking chaos on the reservation. Some claimed the headman was Apache Kid's father, though evidence is shaky, as noted by Arizona historian Dan R. Williams, who recorded Sieber's accounts. Apache tradition urged Apache Kid to avenge the death by killing the suspect, an Apache named Gon-zizzie. Sieber and Francis C. Pierce, the San Carlos agent since 1886, ordered him to stand down, but when they left for official business, Apache Kid acted. Leading 5 scouts, he tracked Gon-zizzie to his camp and shot him dead on May 31, 1887. Some say Gon-zizzie resisted, but Apache Kid took the blame, torn between Apache loyalty and Army duty. When Sieber returned, Apache Kid and his 5 men had fled, hiding in Apache camps or rugged hills near San Carlos, dodging the reservation's authorities. The killing, rooted in reservation tensions and cultural pressures, turned Apache Kid from a hero into a fugitive, kicking off his outlaw saga in Arizona's volatile frontier. In late June 1887, after Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, killed Gon-zizzie for a murder at San Carlos, Al Sieber, the chief of scouts, demanded he and his 5 men return to the reservation. They did, arriving by the 25th of June, but trouble was brewing. On the 1st of June, Sieber faced them outside his tent at San Carlos, ordering Apache Kid to collect his men's rifles and cartridge belts, then surrender his own. The air was thick with tension as Sieber planned to march them to the guardhouse for arrest. Things went south fast. As the group resisted, a shot rang out, likely from one of Apache Kid's loyal scouts wielding a Springfield .45 -70 rifle. The bullet tore through Sieber's left ankle, dropping him in agony and leaving a permanent limp. In the chaos, Apache Kid and his men grabbed horses and bolted, vanishing into the rugged Rincon Mountains near San Carlos. The clash, fueled by the reservation's simmering unrest and Apache Kid's defiance, marked his final break with the U.S. Army, cementing his life as a fugitive in Arizona's wild frontier. After Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, and his 5 scouts fled San Carlos on the 1st of June, 1887, the 4th Cavalry sprang into action, chasing them along the San Carlos River's banks. Telegrams flew from San Carlos to General Nelson A. Miles in San Francisco, headquarters of the Department of the Pacific, coordinating the hunt. Papers like the Arizona Daily Star and Tombstone Epitaph fueled public panic, covering the 2-week chase as Apache Kid's band dodged troops across Arizona's rough terrain. By mid-June, the cavalry tracked them to the Rincon Mountains southeast of Tucson, ambushing their camp and seizing horses and supplies. Apache Kid and his men slipped away on foot, hiding in the rugged hills, but struggling without resources. With the army closing in, Apache Kid sent word to Miles, who offered to stop the pursuit if they surrendered. On the 25th of June, 1887, they gave up near San Carlos, ending the manhunt. In July 1887, Apache Kid and 4 others faced a court-martial at San Carlos, charged with mutiny and desertion for killing Gon-zizzie and shooting Sieber. Barely understanding the legal process, they were convicted and sentenced to death by firing squad. Miles, uneasy with the harsh verdict, ordered a review. On the 3rd of August, the court reduced it to life at Alcatraz. Still dissatisfied, Miles cut the sentences to 10 years, sparing their lives but sending them to face a grueling prison term, a bitter turn for a once loyal scout. After their July 1887 court-martial, Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, and 4 companions were locked in the San Carlos guardhouse, awaiting the army's next move. In November 1887, they were shipped to Alcatraz, a grim fortress in San Francisco Bay, instead of Fort Leavenworth's military prison. The island's isolation made escape nearly impossible, holding the men in cramped cells under strict guard. By October 1888, the Judge Advocate General's office reviewed their case, finding the trial unfair due to no legal counsel and language barriers. On the 13th of October, Secretary of War William C. Endicott commuted their 10-year sentences, ordering their release. The Indian Rights Association, pushing for fair treatment through petitions to Congress, helped sway the decision. By November, Apache Kid and his group were back at San Carlos, free after just a year. The release of 5 Apaches sparked fury among Arizona settlers, who flooded papers like the Arizona Daily Star with fears of renewed violence, recalling Apache Kid's role in the 1887 killings. At San Carlos, Apaches welcomed their return, seeing it as a rare win against military justice. The decision, rooted in legal reform, deepened tensions in a region still scarred by the Apache Wars, setting the stage for more trouble. In October 1889, trouble caught up with Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl barely a year after his release from Alcatraz. Sheriff Glenn Reynolds of Gila County nabbed him and 4 other Apaches on warrants for theft, hauling them to trial in Globe on the 25th of October. By the 30th of October, the court found them guilty, slapping each with 7 years at Yuma Territorial Prison. On the 1st of November, Reynolds, Deputy William Holmes, and stage driver Eugene Middleton set out from Globe to Casa Grande, escorting Apache Kid, 4 Apaches, and a Mexican prisoner through the snowy Pinal Mountains. Freezing cold and a blizzard slowed the stagecoach near Kelvin in Pinal County, along the Gila River. At the Kelvin grade, loose sand forced Middleton to unload 7 shackled prisoners to walk, while Apache Kid and Pash-ten-tar, bound tightly, stayed aboard. As the group trudged uphill, 2 Apaches lunged at Reynolds, grabbing his pistol. An Apache scout shot Reynolds in the neck, killing him, then fired at Holmes, who collapsed, likely from a heart attack. Middleton, guarding the coach, took a bullet through his cheek from another scout, but survived when Apache Kid, remembering Middleton's earlier kindness, told his men to spare him, assuming he was dead. The Mexican prisoner, possibly Jesus Savot, bolted, stealing a horse and alerting Riverside and Florence, earning a pardon from Governor Louis Wolfley. Apache Kid's group unlocked their shackles with keys from the dead lawmen, grabbed horses and vanished into the Superstition Mountains. Middleton, bloodied but alive, staggered 5 miles to Riverside for help. The Kelvin Massacre, as it became known, cemented Apache Kid's outlaw legend, leaving a trail of death and fear across Arizona's frontier. On the 2nd of November, 1889, Eugene Middleton, shot through the cheek during the Kelvin Massacre, stumbled 5 miles through a blizzard to Riverside Station, a stagecoach stop in Pinal County. Despite his wounds, he found Sheriff Glenn Reynolds' body brutally mutilated, shot in the neck and battered with a gun and rock, a grim act by some of Apache Kid's group. Deputy William Holmes, likely felled by a heart attack, was shot but left untouched. A posse from Globe, Gila County, raced to track Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, and his 4 Apache scouts, but turned back as heavy snow buried the trail. The fugitives, after killing Reynolds and Holmes, fled along the Gila River to the San Pedro near Hayden, a mining town, then headed towards San Carlos, blending into Apache lands. One scout, Sayers, wounded in the chaos, strayed and was captured in Florence days later, the only one sent to Yuma Territorial Prison. The massacre sent shockwaves through Arizona, with papers like the Arizona Silver Belt decrying Apache Kid's escape. Settlers in Globe and Florence demanded action, fearing more raids in a region still raw from the Apache Wars. Apache Kid's flight into the Superstition Mountains deepened his outlaw legend, leaving a trail of blood and unanswered questions. After the Kelvin Massacre on the 1st of November, 1889, Apache Kid, born Haskay-bay-nay-ntayl, slipped into Arizona's shadows, cementing his outlaw legend along the Florence-Kelvin Highway. For years, he haunted central and southeast Arizona, his name tied to every theft and raid from the Tonto Basin to Mexico's Sierra Madre Mountains. Papers like the Arizona Daily Star fanned settler fears, but no hard proof pinned crimes on him, leaving his guilt a question mark. The mystery of Apache Kid's fate deepened after 1889. Sightings popped up across the Southwest, but none held water. In spring 1894, rancher Charles Anderson and his cowboys killed an Apache rustling cattle in the remote San Mateo Mountains near Socorro, New Mexico, swearing it was Apache Kid. No evidence like a body or belongings confirmed it, and the claim remains disputed. Still, it's the strongest lead, marked by a stone near Apache Kid Peak in the Cibola National Forest. Other tales fell apart. In 1896, Sheriff John Slaughter bragged about killing Apache Kid in Chihuahua, Mexico, but offered no proof. In 1899, Colonel Emilio Kostelitsky, a Mexican Rurales commander, claimed he was living in the Sierra Madre Occidental, a rumor never verified. By 1907, a posse member in Chloride, New Mexico, said he had Apache Kid's head, pure folklore. Into the 1920s, ranchers blamed him for missing cattle, but most figured he died by 1894, likely from disease or a bullet in Arizona's harsh wilds. Apache Kid vanished, his end as elusive as his life, etched into the Southwest's rugged lore.